Hello, welcome back to another Blender Sushi live noding. In this video, I'm going to do something that's more fun than usual. Basically, I'm gonna take you in to create this kind of procedural stamping kind of tools, but not in the way that you probably ever think of. We know that Blender has this capability to do like a tiling, so you can kind of draw inside Blender and the brush can actually paint over the edges or the boundary of the canvas, and then it will actually tile. Um, yeah, so I was thinking maybe I could do something like this to generate kind of like gribbles, but before I do gribbles and kind of like a 3D stamping, I will start with something that's much simpler. And the cool thing about this is that I can um, generate like a random brush for it. And yeah, this is actually the test that I did earlier, and then it's actually working quite well. um, I'm actually using animation nodes for this. You can probably program it or just using drivers. um, Programming or scripting can also give you this kind of result, but you will see that my process in creating this kind of procedural stamping. So the end result is like a totally tileable texture that you can use. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. Let's start with a totally blank 3D canvas. I'm gonna hide the lamp and the original cube and hide the camera as well. Move it into layer 2. Now we have this 3D blank canvas, but today we're not gonna work inside 3D. We're gonna work solely just in a 2D environment. First of all, just now you saw me kind of randomly stamping some sushi and sashimi. They are actually just a bunch of PNG that I grabbed from the internet for samples. You can simply just Google search sushi transparency PNG or any kind of objects, or perhaps maybe take a photograph of like a random objects yourself and then turn them into transparent PNG. You know how to do that. Um, if you're if you want to use Blender to do that, you can also use the compositing. Just take an object with a white background or green background and then just remove the background, and you get this kind of transparent element. Let me show it to you. So in Mac, if it's transparent, you can kind of tell this is actually transparent from the background. Okay, so that's what we need to have in order to do it. What I'm gonna do next is simply import them as planes with the alpha channel turned on, and I'm gonna source it in my desktop. It should be random PNG and it's under sushi, and I'm gonna grab all of them. I tap A and select all and import images as planes. Now I should have this all the image come into 3D as planes, but again I'm not gonna use them in 3D. I'm gonna use them in 2D. So file, save as. This is a sushi stamping 001. This is actually animation nodes tutorial, so and sushi stamping, but this is gonna be a fun one. Let's switch to UV editing. I like to start with the UV editing layout, but I'm gonna actually duplicate this UV editing layout. So I have UV editing 001. Now, as we know, this is normally for UV editing, but I'm gonna use it for something else, which is just to do the painting. So I will first of all create a new canvas. By default, the canvas color is black. That's all right. Leave it as untitled. Width and height 1024 pixel for height and width dimensions. I can leave it at that as well. It can be 32-bit floats. That might be important when we are gonna be generating like a gribble kind of texture that we can tile. For now, this is okay. It's totally fine. Hit OK. Now I will zoom out, and we can see the black canvas here. Now I'm gonna turn on the panel, both panel, and make it a little bit bigger. So by default, we have these scopes and grease pencil. You don't know what it is. It's because we haven't switched to the paint mode. So at the moment, we are like viewing the UV editing panel. We gotta switch this into paint. Now we have the tools that we need. We have options and tools, and let's save it again. Let's check the options for now. Image paint, I think we don't need to change anything. Appearance, sometimes if you have like a white background, the brush disappeared. If here you can change the color of that circle for the brush. We don't need to change anything here. Let's switch to the tools. Now we have this paint tool. I'm still familiarizing myself with the tool, so bear with me. Some of you might have used this tool for a while, so it's your advantage. We can use accumulate or gradient. The gradient tool is new for me. Looks like we can draw something like that looks like a worm using the gradient tool, but that's we probably need to do something with the stamping or something. Oh wait, okay, these are gradient colors, and the modes can be repeat, and the repeat gradient spacing. Oh, there you go. That's interesting. Maybe something you want to use, but we're not going to use gradient for now. We just worry about the texture actually. Let's quickly switch this to one of the sushi. Let's use this salmon sushi. So that's our default kind of paint mode. It's set to tiled, but we want it to be perhaps random. So random may be okay, but maybe oh yeah, by the way, random, you can see that at the moment the brush is kind of soft on the edge. It's kind of like rounded soft. We don't want that. We actually just want it to stamp. So we can change that in the paint curve. I think just switch this to maximum strength. So everywhere I draw is should be stamping. Although it's currently also still giving this kind of rounded edges, even though it's hard edges at the moment. Maybe it's not random that we need. We probably wanna not tile. Stencil allow us to stencil it, so that's can be useful, but not what we want. 3D, not 3D. View plane. Yeah, I think view plane is the one we want to use in this case. View plane and random. So random and rake. Rake will actually follow the. If we turn off random, rake will follow our kind of brush direction. So that might be useful. So rake and random, that's okay. Offset, size. Maybe it should be 1. So at the moment our brush is so big, we can increase the brush size, which is of course make the sushi slightly bigger. I think we are getting there. Maybe we need to control the way it's do the stamping. We don't need to worry about the texture mask paints because we are using PNG anyway. paint stroke space. Okay, the spacing by default is 10%. We can increase the spacing. So now we have like more or less kind of like a stamping. Yeah, so the next thing we should do, smooth stroke. No, we don't worry about that. Paint curve, we're done with it. Let's hide it. Tiling, okay, that's the one we actually want. There are two options that we need to turn on. It's this coordinates repeat, I believe. Okay, there's a game properties where we can do like a tiling, but that's not for this. I think that's for the Blender game engine. But this coordinates tiling, that's the one we need, and also this X and Y tiling. That should be on, and we are good to go. Now we are actually tiling our image. One thing to remember is with a texture like this, it's best if they are kind of a square in ratio 1:1, so they won't be stretching. At the moment we have some photo that's a little bit, no, it's not square, so this one's gonna be stretched a little bit. That's okay for now. It's just like for this tutorial. So we can hide this, and now we have our stamping. Oh, actually, one important thing, grease pencil. We're gonna need a grease pencil real soon. Just for a reference, let me turn off the repeat for now. So that's okay. This is the original textures. Let's draw like a grease pencil real quick, just to give us kind of a reference point on the corner, so that we don't get lost in the where we are looking at this. Where should we draw? We kind of lost the canvas. If we have the grease pencil, and let's change the color of grease pencil into red, or maybe increase the thickness. Let's change the color, maybe just blue, because for sushi I think most of them the color is reddish. Maybe with fill. No, actually don't worry about fill. Volumetric. Yeah, just kind of that kind of indicator, maybe green, even bright green. Okay, that should be good. Now we can turn on the repeat again and hide the panel. Let's save this. So this is cool. You can do the stamping, and you can also change the brush manually here. So this is sushi, I think it's sashimi maki, I don't know, maybe and this is another image. You know, you can already this is, if it's a tutorial about how to do like a seamless texture creations using Blender, this is probably done. But this is animation nodes kind of tutorial. We have to do something with nodes. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. So what's happening here, instead of changing the texture manually, I actually want it to be able to kind of randomly select one of this image in a random fashion. You can use Python, you can use maybe Blender's drivers that kind of trigger the Python script, or you can also use animation nodes for that. So first of all, I'm gonna observe whenever we are changing the texture. I believe we're actually triggering a script here. Let's see, sometimes it doesn't show it to you. Yeah, but I think that's a BPY data texture or something. Let me quickly find one. BPY data context pencil. there you go. That just appeared. bpy.data.textures name sushi. So that's kind of our first clue in order to do this in animation nodes. I'm gonna switch this to script nodes. Where is it? Python. I almost forgot. Okay, Python console. Let's save this first. File save as new version. So bpy data grease pencil. So bpy data textures. Let's investigate. So that's the data block. That's the data block that we're gonna need. bpy.data.textures, and you can see that it's a bpy collection. It has 11 texture at the moment, so that's good. That's definitely what we're gonna need, and we can actually investigate them one by one, and we can see, okay, if the index number is kind of being specified in this list, we can tell, okay, that's this sushi, that's that sushi, and we can use that bpy data textures to kind of change our image texture, like procedurally. Okay, let me check real quick. Actually, earlier today I took a snapshot. Where is it? A screenshot from today. Not that one. Okay, that's the one. bpy.data.brushes text draw texture blah blah blah. So this actually should be matching the one we have up here, but it's yeah, it's not showing, but basically that's what we need. bpy.data.brushes text draw, bpy.data.brushes, and our current brushes is text. It's called text draw. If you have multiple brushes, you might need to change the name of the brush. Okay, bpy.data textures 4, for example. Okay, you see, I just typed this command in this Python console, and you can see that our brushes is changing. So that's really what we need in order to set up like a procedural random stamping using animation nodes. So that's really simple. Basically, as long we know the command, like we know something like this, bpy.data.brushes, and the brush's name is text draw. Where's our brushes? Okay, that's the name of our current brush. We can specify the texture data block and just just change the number. It's gonna switch. So that's cool. That's good. Let's now open up a node editor. Switch to animation nodes. So I have animation nodes now, and turn off always, turn on frame change. And here, let's see, we're gonna use script node real quick. Okay, script node, and this script node can trigger kind of a command. So you see this command, we're gonna just put it inside script node. Let's create a text and just put it up here. Okay, so that's a script. We're gonna import bpy, which is Blender Python, and then we're just gonna copy this guy. bpy.data.brushes text draw texture. You can specify a different name, but for now it's gonna be just our text draw brushes. bpy.data.texture. Now this number, we should be something that's can change. So I just change it to num, like a variable. That's I call it num, and here I'm gonna create a new input. It should be integer, and I call it num as well. So whatever value goes into this variable num will change our image texture. So that's our plan. And for the num, let's see, if we use integer input, let's say 0, or can be any number, but it's all integer, it's a full number. Let's plug this, don't plug it there, it's gonna give error, it's wrong. What we need to do is, let's name this is gonna be our brush random pick. I'm gonna shift A and then get our node. Okay, brush random pick nodes. Now we can plug this number into the num. And now if you look at our painter here, our paint window, if I change this number, it should change it. But at the moment, you know what happened, because I turned off this always. Maybe I should turn on property change and tree change as well. Now if I change this number, you see right here our image texture is changing. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we need. We are almost there, almost done. But a few things that I need to show it to you that might be like important for you. The number, okay, can go up to, the number should go up to the number, you know, like the total number of the texture, because we don't have like unlimited texture. We have around 11 textures. So if it goes up too high, animation node's gonna complain. Okay, index error, you have provided a number that's bigger than the total number of the texture, so it's not gonna happen. So that's we don't want that. And also another thing, to make you easier when you're doing the painting, let's say you don't want it to be random, but you kind of want to have a control of it. You don't want to do painting and then have to jump into animation nodes and change the texture. Although that's not too bad, but you don't want to do that. You can actually plug in frame number. This is really powerful concept, so I'll let you know today. In Blender, I'll switch to the timeline. In Blender, there's a shortcut which is left and right. Left and right is gonna change the timeline, and by doing that, you're changing the frame number. Okay, current frames. So see, you can see it's a Python scene dot frame current. So we have this left and right kind of hotkey that's always assigned to the frame to change the frame. So knowing that, we can plug in the time info frame into the number. Now as long as now we can kind of control the image texture just by using the frame number. Okay, apparently here we have black. Okay, black is the default Blender text. I don't know how to get rid of this guy. I wish I know how to get rid of this unused data block. Maybe I need a Python script for that. But it's kind of disrupting our sushi brushes. I kind of don't like that. So we need a way to get rid of that. And at the moment, our brush is still kind of rounded. But anyway, don't worry about that. First, we deal with the frame number first. Okay. By changing the frame number, we can switch. You see, we can switch between brush. So this is also another step in our kind of a random stamping brush that you can create yourself. But again, now we have to deal with these black dots. Yeah, I don't like that black dots. texture mask, stencil off. There must be a way to turn this brush into square. But anyway, let's deal with this blackness first. So the black is, I don't know what number is this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe number 7. Let me try. So at the moment I have this sushi. If I switch to number 7, I'm getting another sushi. No, maybe it's number 6. Okay, that's a brush number 6 that I don't want. Basically, let's see. Let me check. So at the moment, if our brush is set to 11, it's wrong. It doesn't like it. So let me think. We have to get rid one item in the list. So, but first of all, we need to have a list. We need a list of number first of all. Let's create a list, integer list using animation nodes. Integer range. Okay. The amount is probably 10. Start from 0 up to 10. Let's check it out. Let's debug this list using debug drawer. You can see a number. This is a list. Has a number from 0 to 9. Maybe we need actually 11. Okay, that's a good start. We need to get rid of an item from the list, so we need to remove element. So let's do that, and we need to remove element number 6. Not element number 6, but remove an item from list with index of 6. I think that's the correct way to do it. Now we have only like a 10 number in the list. We are removing one. You can actually piggyback this node and remove more. This is super handy if you want to do that, but we don't need that for now. Okay, we have this number, so by doing this we are sure that this the black brush will never get loaded. The next thing we need to do is to use another nodes as a useful nodes. I think that's a kind of like picking a random, select a random from a list or something. Let me search for it. Random. Get random list elements. So okay, that's cool. What is our list? Our list is this guy. The amount is 1. See, I tried to switch this to single and then plug this into that guy, and it's keep giving me this red error message. I think it's a bug of this node. It should be correct. It's supposed to be selecting a single node, but it's complaining about. If I check real quick, it's complaining about. Where is the console? Name amount is not defined, so that's definitely a bug. So we need to use multiple, but only selecting a single amount of item from the list. And let's plug this into our sushi image texture. Now, okay, with this setup, we get rid of one item from our texture. And the next thing we should do is just to plug in the frame into the seed if you want. So now we are really have like a random sushi every frame. Okay. So yeah, where we up to with the sushi thing? Let's get back to the canvas. So luckily we have this green marker indicators. Otherwise, it's so easy to get lost. I think our grease pencil should be blue because some sushi is actually a bit green. Where is the panel? There you go. The shortcut is N for that panel. Change this stroke to maybe purple. No, blue. Blue is good, and just really bright blue. Okay, so This is our canvas, and you can see our, now in order for our sushi to auto generate every frame, I just need to use Alt A or just run. Actually Alt A is just a hotkey for playback. So I'm doing a playback of this brush that's keep changing like the sushi texture every frame. Yeah, so this is actually basically all the techniques, all the theory behind this random sushi stamping. It's a procedural. It's really cool. I think you don't need to use Python script. It's just animation nodes. If I actually hide these nodes, it's just hide that will make the sushi stamping really fast. So it keeps changing the texture on every frame, and you can have like 100 sushi variations, or up to you. And you're gonna end up with this unlimited texture generator that's pretty much kind of seamless, and you can use it in 3D as well. Don't forget, it's a 3D. Blender is 3D software, and the cool thing about Blender is, like I said, this is actually animating while I'm painting. Okay, so, and it's real time, and it's the speed is almost real time, except that my MacBook is really old now. It's a bit slow, but if you have a powerful GPU, this is actually really fast. You can keep the playback running while doing the painting. Let's stop the playback for now. I'm gonna talk a little bit. So with this image, remember that we have not saved it. Let's save it real quick. Save as image, and this is gonna be our sushi texture 001. And one thing to point out, so I seem to be losing my layout. Let me see. I need to switch back to info. Okay, let's hide this, and let's jump into UV editing. Okay, back to UV editing and back to like a 3D environment. We don't need this guy. We can actually delete this. Let's say I have a cube. Okay. In order to paint on it, we need to have we need a material, and we also need to have maybe a texture assigned to this guy. But there is also our texture paint mode in Blender. This is a way for us to do a painting in 3D. First of all, okay, I need to have a UV. Let's have this cube and have a sphere as well. With a sphere, okay, with a UV sphere, if we check at the panel, we need to turn on the generate UV. I know it's gonna generate UV now, and the UV looks like that. It's not perfect, but it's okay. With this guy, with the cube, we don't have the UV, so we need to do the UV map. Just unwrap the UV real quick. Smart UV is okay. So that's unwrapping the UV. Now we have two 3D objects in the scene, and we're gonna use our sushi stamping. This is gonna be a preview for the 3D paint. Maybe I'm gonna do another video, but it's gonna be for the Greeble kind of creation, for displacement map, etc. But for now, we're gonna switch to texture. Let's switch this to paint. I think we should still have our. I think we still have our sushi stamping, right? But it's in a different mode. Let's see, textural. Interesting. Anyway, switch to this guy. object mode, texture paint, and we can, okay, we still have our sushi stamping. Let's have our timeline thingy. So anyway, switching the timeline is changing the sushi. Missing materials, texture detected. So, okay, in order to paint in 3D, we need to have material. Material. Let's switch to 3D, normal, default 3D, and give material, shadeless. Give this guy a texture, assign a UV, use image, and let's see, untitled. So untitled give us the UV. If I switch to material, okay, we have the sushi being displayed in 3D, but that's not what I want, even though it's almost correct. I think I forgot one more thing. This is one thing with Blender texturing. I think that's the way to set up the texture so we can paint in 3D is a little bit convoluted. We just but we need to try anyway. Okay, there you go. I successfully did it by accident. So we have a way to paint our sushi randomly into 3D object, and it's actually seamless, but not seamless in 3D, but seamless in here. Seamless here, but not in 3D. In reality, if you're doing it in 2D and it's seamless, you don't need to worry about how it's gonna look, because it's gonna be seamless anyway. It's just that you need to worry about how the UV is being laid out. Probably for the UV in a reality, the correct way is to just go to edit mode. Instead of laying out the UV like this, you want the UV to be unwrap it and reset it. So every square is for the seamless sushi. So if we are back to the materials texture now, it's already seamless, you know. If you want to add more randomization, feel free to do that. You can stamp it from 3D like this, you know, do the kind of 3D stamping. But really, since this guy is already seamless anyway, you shouldn't see the seam. Oh wait, I think that's actually quite wrong what I just said. You will still see the seam. It's seamless in 2D, but in 3D you need to be careful. Sometimes at the edge, wherever you have the UV seam, you have to be careful, and you try to hide the seam, either by stamping the sushi in the 3D, or another way. Just be careful. Just watch the seam while you're doing the painting. But for what we are doing anyway, if we randomly just stamp the sushi around the edge like that, and just do more stamping in the center, this should be good enough, you know. Let me try applying the texture to our sphere as well. Sorry about that glitch. I'm going to stop the playback. The 3D painting can be slow, but it's there must be some kind of setup that you can do in order to make it faster. Okay, back to 2D. Just gonna paint this real quick. Switch to other sushi. More random sushi stamping. So that's pretty good, I think. I think Blender's thinking. Okay, good, done. Switch to object mode and switch back to 3D full. Wait, to default. Let's assign the material into this guy as well. Smooth. This guy should be shadeless. We have sushi randomly stamp. I think if you're like a real texture artist, to make a seamless texture that actually works is it's kind of like an art skill, you know. Hide this guy. Okay. Yeah, I think that's quite decent. From far away, if you have this, it's gonna work pretty fine. But yeah, that's pretty much how you can create procedurally random stamping of sushi using animation nodes. I guess feel free to use this for your own project. Leave a comment if you have more suggestions or questions. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more video like this. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully this is useful for you. Enjoy.